Hello guys, welcome to another video. In my previous video, we have learned how you can create and manage Remix route. But having each route on its own folder, it's kind of cumbersome. To solve this issue, Remix provide a community package which is called Remix Flat Routes. Today we are going to use Remix Flat Routes to create more hybrid routes than the actual Remix provide you. So to install this package, you just need to run this command npm install. It's going to be a development package and it is going to be Remix Flat Routes. Let's do it. You see this error, this is because you are trying to install Remix Flat Route package, which actually supports React Router 7. They recently launched React Router 7 support in Remix Flat Route, but your project still support React Router 6. As you see, it is using the old React DOM as well as it is not the new package right now. The new remix package is 2.15.2 at the time of this video record, and it is still using React 18, not using React 19. So there are two ways I can fix it. Maybe I can upgrade my wall package because I don't have anything here, any dependencies right now, or I can use one previous version of remix flat routes to get all the supports for all the functionality of remix flat route in my current project, rather upgrading everything to the new one. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to create another video how React Router 7 is changing the remix and also the remix flat route. But for this video, I'm going to stick with the React Router 6 functionalities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again install this, but it's going to be the one. I think the 6.5 is the one. Let's try to install it. So after 0.6.5, they jump to 0.7, which technically means like the React Router 7 support. Right now, the latest one is 0.7.5, but we are going to stick to 0.6.5 for now. So it doesn't make any major breakthrough, any major difference. You will see what we are going to do in this video. So whatever we are going to learn here, you can also apply same thing with the latest version as well. So there are not going to be much change. So now, after installing this package, what you have to do is you need to tell your Remix package, Remix project that, hey, you are going to use Remix flat routes, not the default one. So what you have to do is you need to go to this yt.config.ts. The current project it's basically one version less the new one. But if you are using very old version, then you might see Remix config rather than yt config because previously they weren't using yt as well. But right now we do have yt. The whatever I'm going to do here, you can also do in the remix config. I will share you the link over the description in the video so that you can follow the link and do the job. So in this Vita config, you will see we are exposing plugins array, and here we are calling remix. And in this remix, we can pass multiple things. Also, we can pass routes. I've copied this up from the official side. I'm pasting it here, and voila. Okay, right now it is telling me you need to import this. My bad. Import flat routes. I don't know why it is throwing me there. I can simply go with remix flat routes. Exactly. These are some of the configuration you see here, but let's remove it for now. I think they are self-explainable if you see. App directory, route directory, base path, param prefix char. So if you like want to change the dynamics flat from $sign to something else, and regex as well. But for now, let's remove this. We can talk about these things and the advanced part of React Router 7 in the next video. But in this video, we are simply going to learn how you create hybrid routes. Save this. I have only one route in my routes folder, that is index, and it's just printing me index page. Let's save it. Let's run this project, run dev. Okay, you see, I have this route open and working perfectly in my browser because I do have only one route, that is this index. All right, now, what if I want to create another route, maybe about page? So what I can do is I can do again like Remix.js default conventions. Just name your route like it. Remix flat routes also use file-based convention. So whatever you're going to name here is going to be a route. Okay, this I'm going to export here and I'm going to change it about and I'm going to name it as about page. Save it. Okay, now let's try to open the about. You see, I have about page. Now let's take an example. I want to create contact page. I can do similar page, contact. Let's go to not contact us. Maybe let's keep it as contact. Okay. I think I need to change the contact here. Voila. Now we have three pages ready. It is very similar to what we were doing in the remix routes. But here comes a magic of remix-led routes. Now let's take an example. These are the public routes. You want to store them in some folder so that like it will be easy to manage all the public routes in one folder at one place. What you can do is let's create a folder public. If you see, I am placing underscore before this public and move all this route there. Okay. I think I need to rerun it. Perfect. Okay, I think I'm forgetting one thing that is plus. Cool. Now let's try. See if I add plus, I see all the routes here. Let's go to the contact. I have a contact. About. I have about page. Why I add this plus? We are going to talk about it in a bit. But now you see how easy to manage all the public routes you have. You just need to create one folder public, and it is not something you have to name it as public. You can name it anything you want. My public routes. Only thing you have to make sure that the folder name should start with underscore and it should have plus after the name. If I again save it, okay, it's going to complain for sure. Reload. I still have those pages. Contact and about. Voila. Now you see how easy to manage this route at one folder rather creating all different routes in different folders. Like if I go with remix way, then I need to create one folder for this, one folder for this, and maybe one folder for this, or I can keep it at the root of routes, which is totally fine. But how easy to manage everything inside single folder? Let me name it to public for now. Let's take one more example. Let's take an example. I want to create users management page. So what I will be doing is I'm going to create a route which is going to be users, but for now I'm going to place plus after the name. So why we are placing underscore here? Because like we learned how to create layouts in Remix, right? So if you want to create a folder which you don't want to treat it as a route name, but to group multiple routes, you can place underscore before the folder name. Okay, let's understand this example. Then we are going to learn how why we are placing plus in after every route name, every folder name. All right. So let's take an example. I do have users. Users may going to have index page where we display all the users. As oh, I think I need to place dot here. Users. Cool. Or maybe let's create some users, no? Users. Rahul. Modi. Kejriwal. Cool. And here maybe let's do users dot map name and let's print all the names under maybe li and let's wrap it inside the UI. Cool, pretty fast. And let's go and open the users. I see all the users, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another page. Maybe maybe a user information page where user route going to accept a dynamic ID. What I can do is maybe I can do I do have users in the URL already through folder. Now I just want the ID route, right? So I have this. Here I can create another file, just id.tsx. I think this dollar symbol you already know. If you don't know it, please watch my previous video about Remix routes. So you have better understanding how all these routes are working here. These are dynamic, and I'm again going to print something here. It is going to be users uh, information, and let's extract this ID as well as cons use params, and the param is going to be ID, and here we are going to print the ID information. All right, I have this. If I go and pass maybe Rahul, I have users information page for Rahul. See how my route goes. Users, we have this users folder. Rahul, this is a dynamic ID. I can pass anything here. Maybe Modi. It's gonna open for Modi. Right. All right. Now maybe I want what I want is like I want to create another route which is going to be like user slash ID slash edit to edit the user information. Right. I don't have this route for now. Now what I can do is I can create another file which is going to be dot ID dot edit dot tsx. And here again and let's name it users info, and simply paste here users edit, and again let's pass the ID and display it here users edit page, and let's print the ID as well. All right, now if I have this reload this page, it is still showing you the users information page for the ID. It is not showing you the edit page. Now why? I think if you have watched my previous video, you know right now if you are passing this edit after this ID, so the route's assuming this ID is a layout for this route. Now we want to specify in remix flat route, hey, this route is not using any layout. It should be a layoutless route. It should be using independent layout, not depend on other layout. So what we have to do is after the parameter, whatever route you are creating, you just need to pass underscore. Underscore is a way in remix flat route to tell like this route is not going to use any layout. If I save this, come back to edit, you see now it is showing me the edit page. If I go back to the ID page, it is the ID page. If I go back to the users page, it is going to show me the user page. Now you want to wrap all this route under a layout. In previous video we have learned you can create a reusable route and maybe just place a layout name before this route itself, so that all the routes under user going to use that layout. In the remix flat routes there are better way to do it, and the best way I would say is create a layout file. All the layout file present in the route folder will be automatically treated as a layout for all the child routes. You don't need to specify to this child route like this layout is the layout for each one. It will automatically understand the mix flat route that yes, this layout file is must be for every route you see here. Now what I can do is I can create this layout, import, let's do import outlet. Let's create bit of a layout. Let's create header. This is header, footer. This is footer, and let's print outlet here. And it is complaining because we need to pass outlet as an JSX component. All right, let's do it. Now if I reload this page, This is header, this is footer. Right now we are at users index. If I go to a nested route, maybe Modi, again the same layout. If I go to a edit page, again the same layout. See, that's how it is very easy to manage routes in Remix flat routes. Why? You just need to create a single folder for all the nested routes. You just need to create a folder for the parent route. You can have all the nested routes in that folder with a different layout, I would say, with a specific layout for that routes or child routes. It is very easy. So in Remix, if you want to create an index route, it is not mandatory to name it index. You can also name it route like we were doing in Remix. It is same. Now the question is why I'm placing this plus after these folders, right? So to understand that, let's try to debug this route, whatever the routes being generated behind the scenes. npx remix routes. Okay, right now I do have root, which is parent of everything, which is fine. If you see, the public one are not under the public folder, they are being present in the root route, which is uh, this one, because root ultimately is a parent of all the routes you are creating in Remix. So again, this folder is not treated as a separate route. It's just the way to tell Remix flat routes or Remix like, okay, I'm managing some routes here, which doesn't depend on this folder name. They are independent routes, or I would say public routes. Cool. If we talk about users, we have users. This is a layout. We have one ID page. We have one edit page, and we have one page. Even if I can change it to index, which seems to be more relatable, so it would be good. Okay, we do have this index. Cool. Now, if I remove the plus here, what's gonna happen? So if I remove plus here, remix flat routes treat it as a collocation like we used to do in remix route, so that each folder is only going to have one route. That's how it is understanding this, this. It is a layout. And if I try to open this, we have this. Right now it is not using the layout. It's just simply displaying me the index page. If I try to open dynamic, it is not treating as it dynamic because it just understand like this is the only page uh, it should present there if you are not placing plus. And if I go with edit, again the same, it's not going to be found. So if you are creating multiple routes inside a single folder, and the folder also the route itself, a route name itself, place plus after the route name, so that remix flat routes get to know you're creating multiple nested routes, or I would say hybrid routes inside the route folder. Now if I run this again, you see all the routes created with their respective layout, with their respective path. And if you're creating multiple routes into a single folder, right now this is index.tsx. First let me clear everything here, and let me just name it as underscore index.tsx. Now if I see the route structure, I have users with the layout and all three routes inside the users. But if I just name it as index, not with underscore, now what's going to happen? It's still going to have all three routes under the user, but it's going to create extra route for users plus. If I go back and try to open this user plus, you see it is able to work. But this user plus is not using actually the layout. It's just a plain route. It's not using this layout because it is not the part of this layout, right? It is different. Now, if you name it to route, what is going to happen? Okay, see, you have route.tsx for users plus. You also have users with the route.tsx, and you have all two routes present for user, that is ID and ID edit, under this users layout. So whenever you're creating a hybrid route with route, so it is not going to use the default layout as the by default. See, users plus, it is creating a separate route, and for the users, it is creating a separate route without the layout usage. So if I go back to this and try to open this, it is not going to use a layout, but if I open any of the route like dynamic route, it is going to use a layout. But if I try to do something like this, underscore route, if we do it, see, we have users again with two routes, that is edit and normal ID. And for the users, we do have layout. So whenever we are passing underscore route and underscore layout, it is taking route as the layout and keeping the layout as separate. Now there are two routes with the same path. Now if I open this, you see it is just printing me the layout only, the blank layout, this one. But if I try to open any of this route with the ID or with the edit, it's just going to open me the actual route with the ID or the users, and technically it's not going to work as expected. It is printing me all the users, or I would say it is showing me the users route, and the users route is basically this, which is the actual users we are printing, right? And if we go to this edit, it is still printing me the route only, because in the route.tsx we are not printing the layout outlet. In this layout we are printing outlet, right? So that's why it is printing me this route for all these two routes. So technically, if you're managing routes like this, always go with underscore index. If you want to use the layout, as well as all the routes should be using this layout, go with index. Now see, I only have one users with this layout, and all the routes in the users going to use this layout and present in the users layout. See, now it is going to use the layout as well as the uh, actual page which is being rendered in the outlet. Okay, now see, we are not only limited to create only one folders. You can create nested folders as well to have all these nested routes inside their own respective folders, so that you can manage modules by their folder. How you can do it? Maybe let's start with the id.tsx. Okay, and we do have the name already. That's why it's complaining. Maybe let's name it like this. New folder. Let's go id dot. Let's create simple id. Move this, and this is a route name, and in this folder, if you want to treat it as a default route, then you should name it as index. It's fine. You can create another folder, maybe for edit $id. Again, you need to don't if you don't want to use a layout of this id, then you need to press place underscore, then edit. I think you need to move it here, and again just name it as index. You can keep index here, or if you want to create a folder for index as well, what you can do is you can have folder which is going to be index, and have this index file here. Okay, now let's try to run this. I see my app is running. Okay, route is working. We have all the lists. If I go to specific one, it is printing me specific one. If I go to edit, it is printing me the edit page. So you see how easy to manage all the routes, all the nested children's route within their own respective folder in Remix flat routes. I would say if you are creating a project which going to have many dynamic routes, many number of routes, I would suggest you to go with Remix flat routes. But if you're creating just like 20-30 routes and just using the Remix convention route naming, it would be fine approach. Easy to manage these routes with their own folder. Now in this folder, you can create the routes on files like maybe CSS file, assets, components. That is the magic of Remix flat routes. If you're creating an application which more dependent on the dynamic routes, or I would say it's going to have many routes, then always go with Remix flat routes. But if you're creating an application which is just like 10 to 20 routes, you can always rely on Remix route convention, the default convention. They are also enough to perform all the modern tasks you can perform with the routes. This is all for this video. We are going to cover rest part of remix flat routes in another video, the advanced part. So stay tuned. If you have any feedback for me, any recommendation, please do leave it in the chat so that I can get to know and improve myself. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great